when a person is like obsessed with being loved and accepted, and will often go way and beyond and act outside of their normal behavior or what they want to do in order to feel accepted or be accepted. Welcome to another episode
of Driving to the Res
with your favorite hosts,
Larry
and Inelia. Yay!
Glad you're here. Just so you know, there is a second part to this free podcast.
There is for our supporters and sponsors and patrons. We have the subscribe star option to listen to the second part of this podcast, as well as Walk With Me Now.
And if you prefer to read it instead of listening,
you can go to Substack and find us there. And I think the complete URL is substack.com/@Inelia.
Yep.
And you'll find the articles there.
Alrighty, let's get started.
All right. So this week we're going to be talking about feeling rejected and rejecting others. And it's a hot topic right now, from my estimation, from my looking at what's going on in the world.
Okay.
It feels like really big, and whenever even a tiny little thing comes up that will make a person reject another or something else,
Then it's amplified.
super amplified, as well as feeling rejected by someone or something or a group or whatever it might be, also gets super amplified. So when I see these amplifications and they feel unnatural to me, I start looking, and this is what I wrote about.
Okay.
So here goes. I was looking at the energy lines of rejection. Here's some information from the internet about the word itself and its etymology. Quote, the act of rejecting, of throwing off or away, or of casting off or forsaking, refusal to accept or grant, as the rejection of what is worthless, the rejection of a request. Directly from Latin, rejectus, past article rejectare, throw away, cast away, vomit. Frequentative of reciere, to throw back.
Okay. I think that will mean things to certain people.
I found that generally speaking, the feeling of being rejected and also that of rejecting others or other is huge in our society at the moment. The feeling can come in, depending on the person, as being rejected or rejecting others.
Do you think that's related to their aggressiveness?
Whose aggressiveness? The person's? No,
Their
I think
natural
it's...
tendency?
No, I think it has to do with programs they may have acquired along the way or implemented.
Like best defense is a good offense?
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes. And sometimes it's just a feeling of being uncomfortable, but also of wanting to be loved and stuff. You know, this is the other side of the coin. I'd go into a little bit about that part later in the article.
Okay, well, it seems a little bit like linked to split, you know, the split energies. Like in a split, it's more comfortable to reject or be rejected in a sense, right?
For some
So
people,
it's
it's more
amplified.
comfortable to be rejected, and for some people, it's more comfortable to reject, yes.
Okay.
There are some questions I had about some common denominators on recent popular movies and TV shows of physical expressions of rejecting, like vomiting and peeing, taking up the whole screen, when these actions don't add anything to the plot.
That's
It's been weird. Isn't that weird?
yeah, it's almost inexplicable.
Yeah.
Because I don't,
Non-secular.
I've watched movies my whole life.
Yeah.
And yeah, people have gone to the bathroom or thrown up in them on occasion, but not to this degree. Like
No.
every show and
Every
having no
single
relation
show.
whatsoever to the plots. Like they didn't just go out drinking and then puke.
No.
They're just walking along and then somebody pukes.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
But even the
it made a
drinking,
logical sense.
yeah,
to
even
me.
if they go drinking and puke or whatever's, usually would be part of the plot.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
But-
it's like plot related,
Right.
not
And
just
not
walking
random.
along and okay, next scene puking. Okay,
Yeah.
and next scene, oh look, he's got to pee.
Yeah. it's the peeing part. It's men with their
Men, yeah.
parts showing in the screen.
I even saw someone cleverly use a colostomy bag or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
So they were peeing with a
And it was
hose
completely
instead.
out of context. It had nothing to do with the plot. It was even a minor character, I think, you know?
Yeah,
So-
it's very strange.
It is very strange.
But it makes sense from this aspect because that amplifies it artificially. Mm-hmm. The rejection. Because
Yes.
in rejection, in the definitions, it had vomiting on it. Yeah. Okay.
As I saw the definitions of rejection, I saw that this is exactly what these scenes portray, as well as stimulate the viewer to feel rejection or being rejected, right?
Well, yeah, you look at that scene and you go,
Ew.
"Ew, rejecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Furthermore, within the groups I participate in, I've been observing how people are either rejecting themselves or others, or feeling deeply rejected. Now, I have to qualify that here in this podcast, and allowing people to know, or letting people know, that I'm part of a lot of groups, not just Walk With Me Now and Subscribe Star and these things, you know. But I'm actually part of a lot of groups of friends, relatives, and gamers, because I play computer games or other interest groups that I have. And I've seen it across the board, actually, like deep fractures within groups, or people feeling rejected by others, or bringing in that they've been rejected about something, or feeling, like being aggressive towards other people and not wanting them in the group and things like that. It's been pretty severe, actually. Anyways, these are all data points for me that indicate something major is happening on the planet, because the level of rejection and feeling rejected is way above normal right now.
Like off the scale, right?
Off the scale.
Remember just recently in the local newspaper, they had the bout of the rejection of the girls that won their state championship.
So we're talking about the Res girls that play basketball.
Yep, they won the state championship.
They won the state championship.
Second time.
For the second time in history.
In our history, and they're one of the only schools, like there's only one other one that's won it twice, something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's a good job.
It is. It's very, very good job. Can you tell us what happened?
Oh, well, yeah, the newspaper minimized it hugely. That's like the headline had nothing to do with them winning. It had everything to do with them. They played really poorly in the first half and couldn't get any points on the board. Yeah. And they won anyway.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. It was really bad. And the photograph they put in the newspaper was not nice.
Not nice at all, right?
With the girls. They didn't look nice, no.
Yeah, so it was a rejection.
It was.
And it caused, I won't say caused, but the response in the village was hugely, it was like an open wound, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
That they've been packing around for a generation or two.
Yes, indeed.
So
they had to change the article.
Yeah, they did end up changing the article because there was a lot of noise, which in the sense of a newspaper is probably what they were after. Well, I don't know that I would say that.
I don't actually know.
I don't think they could consciously do that.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
Well, anyway, it was one more example of the rejecting and rejection, or feeling rejected,
yes, definitely.
Artificially stimulated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, the funny thing, one of the funnier things was when someone in the village collected all of the previous headlines when one of the schools won a championship, and they were all glowing,
glowing and flowering.
Good
Congratulations,
job,
girls.
Good job, girls. Yeah. And this was like, they won anyway, and I don't know how they could have won. They just did crappy.
Yeah, that's right.
It was kind of like that.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
I think that illustrates it to some degree.
Yeah. We could look also about the victim aggressor stuff, and like the responses or reactions when these type of things happen. It's all quite mangled and
commingled.
Yeah. It's, where does it come from? How does a person come about that and gets that co-creation experience?
It's an amplified amongst themselves. So it's like you put a little seed and then it grows this giant
really
thing.
Yeah. All right. I tested my own body and energy field, mind and feelings, to see where I stood with the energies. It was shocking and surprising to me that they were full of this energy. Before I could give it a name, it felt very like a nervous energy or an energy of discomfort and tension, irritating. As I tapped into it, I found that how it expresses itself in my own field as a professed lone wolf is to reject and not to feel rejected. In fact, the thought of being rejected soothes the tension. This, of course, is my own interpretation of a field of energy that is covering our whole world like a blanket. I also wanted to share a little story here.
All right.
So it was like from the perspective of growing up and all these things, the experience of rejection was pretty big in my life from conception. And it was like my mom tried to abort me 3 times, which causes a lot of rejection in the body. Physical body, soul, everything.
Yeah, that's definitely going to have some traumatic effects.
Yeah, so like people have done studies around individuals who are failed abortions.
Jeez. I didn't even know that could be a field of study.
It is actually, yeah. Failed abortions, failed abortions, studies. And they've actually found that a great majority of the individuals who were failed abortions commit suicide. As a young adult, teenagers, and even older in life, which shows that trauma doesn't go away, that feeling of rejection. And that feeling of rejection was then perpetuated by the parents and the siblings. And it was pretty intense growing up. I didn't quite step into the victim-aggressor of it all, so I didn't quite respond from that perspective. But when I looked at it from the area of what is this feeling and what is this thing, I noticed that at some point or a period of years in my life, I would equate that feeling of rejection with love. If somebody loves you, they reject you. And I saw that as well as being huge. And I mention it because it's so big, right, at the moment, especially, I think, from the perspective of a light worker that comes into the planet. Many light workers stepped into situations that were very dark and they got attacked, and that attack became the rejection, right? So it's pretty prevalent. And because this is an article and not an essay, I wanted to explore it more in our podcast rather than the article, because otherwise we'll be going, essay format of 20 pages, But I wanted to talk about it right here because the next bit is relevant, right? So the next bit in the article says, this feeling seems to enter our field wherever we might have a vulnerable spot. That's why I have seen so many people feeling rejected rather than the rejection aspect, or at least that's the part that mostly affects them, the feeling of rejection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fear of feeling rejected is huge in our society. It drives a lot of the marketing and advertising as well as politics and social engineering manipulations.
Yeah, if you don't wear this, then people are going to reject you because you stink, that kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But probably bigger manipulations than just deodorant. Right,
but also the other side of if you want to feel loved, accepted, embraced, desired, wanted, and allowed to enter, right? So I think that that's the other side of the coin. When a person is like obsessed with being loved and accepted and will often go way and beyond and act outside of their normal behavior or what they want to do in order to feel accepted or be accepted.
Yeah, I can remember those feelings to a moderate level when you're in high school. It's like your hair needs to be perfect or whatever, your clothes or your shoes or whatever. And even then, those were just marketing manipulations to some degree, but they were also probably, body things, maturity, maturing. And but they were like, if you know something's happening, you can like artificially stimulate it. It's kind of like how it feels like
Yes.
high schoolers are susceptible to that, right? And that's kind of why I think they made laws against advertising to teenagers for alcohol or cigarettes, right? One time.
Yes, yes.
Like, they're so impressionable, you can't do that. Come on, guys.
Right.
Even you have to relax from that a little bit.
Yes, I think
And that's why
generally
they stopped
speaking,
the vaping thing, remember? They made it illegal to have certain flavors or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's recognizable that people take advantage of that.
Yeah, children in general. Yeah.
Will take advantage of that rejection or being
Wanting
a part
to
of
be
or wanting to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it. It's probably one of the cornerstones of advertising.
It is, actually.
But in the case of what we're talking about right now, this amplification of it is something to do with another thing that might naturally be happening.
The split?
Like the split, right?
Yeah.
And how to have a traumatic split instead of a not?
Right.
Or is it something else?
Yeah, because if you think about it, a
Or
war,
is it like an acceleration?
a war could be a direct result of rejection. Right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out who's amplifying this rejection, whether it's the Lightworkers or it's the Darkworkers.
There's no, as far as I'm concerned, there's no difference. If you want the split, it's going to happen and you're going to be working very strongly towards it. What I'm more concerned about this is how do we respond as Lightworkers?
Precisely.
Right. Don't get pulled in, because this is one where Lightworkers are actually vulnerable. The rejection feeling, and that's what I was mentioning about my own experience, and also the general experience of Lightworkers have been rejected by family, friends, society, attacked, all that stuff, because that's where we're vulnerable. That's where it catches. That's where it can catch.
It lowers our frequency.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the goal, I suppose. Okay.
Okay, so we can go on for hours psychoanalyzing or sociolinguistically investigating how rejection is being used today.
Which is what
we were doing. Yeah. But to me, those explorations are irrelevant because intellectually investigating such a phenomenon doesn't make it go away or help us deal with it. It just gives us data that satisfies us at an intellectual level, but it's not exactly practical. And I would like to add here too, that it also satisfies the victim-aggressor cycle.
Okay.
Because then you can blame someone for it, right? Which is the opposite of practical. When you blame others for how you're feeling.
Okay.
To me, what's important to share that there are manipulations happening on the planet to increase and stimulate the feeling of rejection, and for us to become aware of those manipulations.
All right.
Once we're consciously aware that these feelings are incrementally becoming stronger, it's a manipulation, we can take steps to step back into controlling how we experience reality. Yeah? So we can take it back, our control. Let's keep the following in mind to release being controlled or the impulse to control others due to the fear of rejection. And I have a little few things here that I wanted to share.
So something like exercises.
Yeah. So here's things to keep in mind. Fear or just feeling rejected, feeling rejection and acting outside of our natural impulses due to the desire to be accepted and loved are all part of the same manipulation.
Okay.
Realize that these feelings are not personal or real. At best, they're negative programs you have integrated into yourself.
Are you sure about that?
Mm-hmm.
So can I give you for examples?
Sure, go for it.
I mean, it's like lately, I feel like a little, I've worked on a lot, but when you walk in a store and there's people still wearing masks and it's a little bit exhausting, you feel like you want to reject them, or it's like, I don't want to be involved with. It's like, where is that
it's an
come
absolute
from?
rejection, yeah.
Rejection, yeah. Or, addicts who are like, I don't really want to be involved with you and your drama and whatever. It's like that I also want to reject. So it's like, you'd have your experience, but don't involve me. And that feels like rejection to me. It's like I reject an invitation to engage, even at a high frequency. Are those artificial?
Well, yes, because you're talking about strong feelings, right? And strong feelings feed our reality. We've established that in previous podcasts, right?
Right.
So strong feeling of a negative thing, like a low frequency thing, amplifies that.
Okie doke.
Because there's a difference between feeling of rejection or being rejected, feeling it strongly. There's a difference between that and being street smart or discerning.
Or not having boundaries or things like that.
Right, or not having boundaries at all. Those are things that are very different.
So you can have a boundary but not reject. Mm-hmm. Or not indulge in the rejection frequency.
Energies, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So, where were we here? Oh, yeah, negative programs you had integrated into yourself. And here, when I say integrated into yourself, it's like society, your parents, schooling, education, all the things have brought you millions of programs. But you, either from your life choices or higher self perspective, have chosen which programs to integrate in yourself. So, for example, when I saw, and this was some years back, when I saw that those levels of rejection were equated in my body, in my energy field and emotional field, were equated to love, feeling loved. When I saw that, then I processed those energies, I disentangled them, and I was able to healthily respond to those things that happened, right? So if somebody was being rejecting of me or aggressive towards me or behaving in a way that said, I reject you, I would no longer interpret that as love. I know it sounds really ridiculous when you say it out loud, but it's amazing how common that is.
Yeah. I don't doubt it. People act in mysterious ways, and now we are understanding why.
Yeah.
It's because they have mysterious programs intertwined with others.
Exactly. So after that was disentangled, I couldn't quite understand what the energies were those of rejection, because they didn't have a program to latch onto. So I didn't know what was happening. It's like, what is that feeling? It's like, it's irritating. It kind of burns a little bit, what is that? And then I saw, oh, I know what that is. It's rejection, because my natural response as a lone wolf is to reject. To reject the world, reject the environment, reject people, reject everything, just stay away, right?
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting to see that, right? But that's all psychoanalyzing.
Okay.
But I wanted to point out here the part about integrating it into yourself.
Okay.
All right. The next point is release these feelings or process them if they're catching into an inner program. Use the stress relief exercise and change the word stress for the words I feel rejected, or I am afraid of feeling rejected, or I feel rejection toward a person in a group, or I want to be loved and accepted. Depending, of course, on which one you're feeling the strongest.
Or you could use the feeling that you described, right?
What?
Without having words, just that burning,
irritating,
burning, yeah. Maybe
when there's a lot of words like that and I can't put a word to it, I usually use a color. I give it a color and I just use the color.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where to find the stress relief exercise?
In the stressreliefexercise.com.
Okay, stressreleaseexercise.com. That's easy enough.
Yeah. And also it's going to be in the notes, the show notes.
Okay, there'll be a link in the show notes. Good idea.
Once the processing is finished, it can take up to about 20 minutes, a few days of 20-minute sessions. So don't do the whole day. Just limit yourself to 20 minutes. And if it's not finished, just follow the instructions on the exercise. But once you've figured it out, spend a while infusing yourself with source energy or light, whatever that means to you. And I want to know how you're getting on with the exercise. And also maybe now you had an aha moment. I'd like to hear about those too on my Substack page where this article is published.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds excellent.
Yeah. Did you have anything else to add?
Well, I think I added in my additions as we went. I liked it. And I'm interested to see what Fred and Ileana and Ashley and Kara might have to add.
Yeah.
If they've been feeling this or expressing it or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see which ones, had been more stronger, feeling rejected or feeling rejective.
Rejecting people or feeling like they're rejected or both even.
Yeah. Sometimes it's both, yeah. Have you felt that recently?
Oh, I'll feel like rejecting everybody, yeah.
Yeah, the same?
Yeah. I don't feel rejected at all, though.
No?
I used to.
You did?
Yeah.
When?
Back in the day when I was a little more damaged to feel.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I had the worry that I might be rejected.
Huh.
But
Interesting.
it's vanished and it's been replaced with, I'll just reject everybody, thank you.
Alrighty then.
So yes, definitely
With
got
that
the work
friendly
to do.
note.
See you later. Don't bother.
Perfect.
Oh, man. No, it's like you said, artificially amplified.
It is.
So I'm not actually rejecting everyone, but I feel it, It's like,
Yeah.
I'll just go talk to my dogs.
The dogs never. You never
They
reject
have never
dogs.
rejected, or I never have rejected. There's no rejection energy between us.
between you, you and your dogs. How many dogs do you have? 6.
Six.
6 dogs.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then.
Go and spend some time with your other wolves.
Our other wolves. They're not lone wolves at all either. They would
No,
be
they're
completely happy. Glommed all of us all over the couch.
They would.
And wherever we went,
They'd be with us.
that would be with us. Well, within, a
Until
mile
they
range.
yes, within 2 miles of us, that's for sure. But yeah, they kind of are a little bit independent, those dogs.
A little bit lone wolfy.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, we'll see you in the second hour.
All right. See you then.
Love you, honey.
Love you. When I was really small until about, I don't know, maybe in my early 20s, I didn't have to say anything. A person would be telling a story or talking about something. I would just look at them. I would just look at them and they would get all defensive.
That still happens.
Defensive, and they'll start saying, no, it's true. What I'm actually saying is true. It really did happen and all that. And I'd be like, all I was doing was listening and being interested in what they were saying. Right?
Mm.
But it would happen over and over and over, everywhere, in every single situation, at school, in the family, at a store. It's like, it was just crazy. It really was.